Phải mua không vậy thôi, coi giùm đấy. Kéo về đói quá. Thì cái đó phải chết được cái nào nữa thì chết thì cái bên cái nào, tức là cái nào đó, tức là cái đang rửa liền đó thì cũng không không để nó luôn, còn không phải nào thì cứ
Okay. We share. Stop share. So hello everyone, can you hear me well?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tin Lai. So I muted before. Now let me introduce you for the topic today. Let's start with the culture code and the question how our culture help to save energy. And then you can see that every company has a strategy. Many have smart people, but that companies sometimes, unsuccessful. Some company become very achievable. The secret is something less visible but far more powerful culture. Now, how can we define about culture? Culture is something that we don't see, that we feel like a Wi-Fi signal in your room, that you use it, you can't see it, but that network is connected, energized, and sometimes frustrated everything we do around in our communication, right? In the organizational culture. Well, we see how it's influence energy and creativity and collaboration. That's why we discuss this today because it's related to our emotion when we are working there, when we are staying in a culture, when we merge ourselves into a culture. So what is culture in definition? So culture isn't a beanbag, a ping pong table, or poster that we can see, right? That we can see from media, but organizational culture is the behavior of human within an organization and the meaning that people attach to those behavior. Secondly, culture includes the organization why values, norm, system, symbol, language, assumption, belief. So it's deeper. It's the share internally, the values, the habit, and the language, the invisible role that guide how we show up every day. But we don't notice. Now think about this way. Culture is the answer to the question, what really happened here when no one is watching? And what is your values? What is your culture? Your individual culture, for example, what really happened around you, or what are you really doing when no one is watching you? So that's the culture in a simple way to think about it. So one of the interesting things for today to discuss that we are going to talk about skeleton culture, the structure. We are on our way to greatness, and every company develops a culture that helps us on that journey. So we're on our way to greatness if our company can develop for employees a culture that helps us to achieve, help us to enjoy, the journey. Now think of early Apple under Steve Jobs, for example. They obsessed with design perfection. Then early Facebook, Facebook with its original mantra, move fast and break things. So then it's move fast and break things culture of Facebook become a compass. It's either helping the employee toward their goals, but it's become a philosophy for everyone to apply to achieve their goals. And when you move fast and you break things, that would be a risk, but that risk can help everyone to achieve fast and furious. That's how Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg want to create a skeleton culture. Say that spray wasn't about being careless, It's not just about taking risk and gain nothing, but it's about creating a culture where speed and experimentation matter more than perfection. And then they believe if you weren't breaking things, you weren't moving fast enough. And then, of course, over time, we move fast. Can be facing uncertainty. However, it's grow with the company stage and challenge, Now, I would show you a Facebook. It is planning about their skeleton. Okay. Wait. Oh, how Mark Zuckerberg.
Booking.com makes trip planning easy, even when your friend group travels in different.
The culture of moving fast at Facebook, is this a good thing or does it just get you into trouble? And we could talk about things like home and if you want.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to cover. Yeah, I mean, it gets us into tons of trouble, right? So I'm of the belief that values are only useful when they're controversial, right? So, there are companies that write out these value statements that I think are kind of meaningless because they're table stakes stuff. I mean, it's like, be honest. It's like, of course you're going to be honest. I mean, that's not a choice, right? That's not a value. You have to be honest, right? It's like, go home if you're not honest. But if move fast is good because it's something that people can actually disagree with, right? And there are companies that don't move fast and that succeed, right? I mean, I think, what I really mean by move fast is that I want to empower people at the company to try things out. And I don't demand that every iteration of what we release is perfect. What I want to optimize for is learning the most and having the best products 3, 5, 7 years from now, right? Which you can do by iterating quickly, getting feedback, learning and going from there. And I mean, there are companies that have very different approaches than that. I mean, I think Apple would never launch something that didn't meet their perfection bar, and it served them incredibly well, right? So I think, move fast is a very nice kind of, you can meaningfully disagree with it, and I think it leads to interesting outcomes. Now, in terms of what we're doing, I think it's incredibly powerful inside our company. I mean, what it leads us to do is build a ton of infrastructure that empowers engineers to try a lot of stuff. So, I mean, at any given time, I mean, we have this testing framework where there are thousands of different versions of Facebook running, and any engineer is empowered to try something out, and they get this report of how it performs on all of the metrics that we care about, all of the sharing and time spent and engagement and amount of friends that people have and amount of money that we make. And it even, for every test that we run, it'll kick off a qualitative survey to that set of people and ask them like how happy they are and how much they like that version of Facebook. So that's really empowering, right? Because now if you're an engineer and you're trying something, you don't have to like get approval of a bunch of different layers of management. You just go try something, and then when it works, here, It worked. Let's turn it on for everyone.
Okay, so, and this is a surprise to you. You don't know what I'm looking at right now, but explain this sign that's up at Facebook. Actually, I don't know for sure it is, but I believe it is. And if it isn't, you'll tell me. Because this doesn't say move fast.
Slow down and fix your shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to
And
do
this,
that.
is this a sign you put up? I don't know if
No,
the camera
I don't put up any of this
can
stuff.
see this. Is the camera, can I get, but have you seen this sign? Is it up there?
Yeah, people put stuff all over the campus.
Yeah. So this
and-
doesn't mean anything official.
I mean, I definitely want us to fix our stuff.
Your stuff.
So that's good. You know, these things are valuable when they're controversial, right? And it doesn't mean that we always need to do it. And it's not like any company wakes up in the morning and they're like, we want to move super slowly, right? So what I want this to mean for us is that we want to build our culture and our infrastructure so that we just try to move, 1 or 2 clicks faster than other companies. And sometimes we go too fast and we mess up a bunch of stuff and then we have to fix it. And that's cool.
You don't need a second job. You just need.
Yeah, so that the discussion for you to understand about culture skeleton, okay? That's kind of things. Then why culture important? And it's important because culture is strategy for breakfast. Now every day, breakfast bring you full positive energy for the day. And you can have the best strategy in the world, but if your culture resisted, and the strategy won't stand a chance. Remember Nokia? Do you know Nokia, a phone company? Now, brilliant technology, huge market share, but a culture of fear and slow decision making that make them stuck for a while. Then compare that to Netflix, which reinvented itself again and again because of its born adaptive culture. So culture is strategy for breakfast. That we can learn from this, Culture is important and how does it translate into action? That's more important. So culture is not for imagination or for making it a symbol, Culture is a strategy for breakfast. This is a term, it's a good term from Peter Drucker that I want to share with you also. Wait for me. So Peter Drucker is often is called as the father of modern management. She wrote over 40 books and shaped how leaders think about organization. And one of his most famous line is culture is strategy for breakfast. And what does it mean for you to learn about it? Get to know more about him, about his philosophy, and especially to learn about management. If we learn about management, we cannot stop to explore, about the history of management. And it means no matter how brilliant was your business plan or how perfect your strategy, if your organizational culture doesn't support it, it will fail.
Xôi bà Năm đây, anh là ghiền truyền 3 đời thơm nước mũi đây này. Ê chú kia, cái tên xôi bà Năm tao mới đăng ký nhãn hiệu sáng nay rồi. Hả? Bán
So you may have heard this statement, culture eats strategy for breakfast. That famous saying was from Peter Drucker. I believe that is one of the most powerful statements we can embrace. Every organization has a culture. Every individual, every family has a culture. And when we first start out, the culture isn't that intentional. It begins and is passed on relationally. In reality, all of us, every organization, every family, every individual has a culture. And so you might say, well, what's so important about culture? How do you define culture? Culture is the expression of values, the things, the heroes that we make, and the celebrations we have. It gets passed on from one generation or from one event to the next by expressing these heroes, these celebrations, and the values that are represented. It becomes important because it reflects who we are as individuals. Every one of us come with a family playbook. A family playbook that defines our values and tells us how we're to act in situations and circumstances. And in your organization, whether it's intentional or not, develops a family playbook. And the family playbook tells us how we react to circumstances and situations, how we apply the values of our organization to the customers or the circumstances or the ministry events that take place under our care. And so culture matters. Culture, no matter how strategic we become in our thinking or our efforts to influence our product sales or our ministry expressions, if our culture doesn't align with our strategy, it will fail. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. And when I was growing up, just to highlight a point, in my family playbook, my dad was a businessman. I loved and respected my dad highly. And when I was in my pre-teens, I went to the state fair, and I went into a tent that had all these kind of gifts that you could buy. And I saw a gift and I thought, I need to buy this for my dad. He's gonna love this. And the gift was a little box, almost like a jewelry gift box. And on the top it says, how to succeed in business. And when you opened the box, there was a gold screw in it, and underneath it said, everybody. And I thought, perfect. This is what my dad, he'll love this. This is what my dad needs to know, is how you succeed in business. I couldn't wait to tell my dad, give my dad this gift. And so when I got home, I said, Dad, I bought a gift for you at the state fair. And I presented it to my dad, and he looked at the box, and he read the outside, how to succeed in business. He opened the box, saw the gold screw, and he didn't react. He didn't correct me. He didn't throw it aside. But the look on his face told me everything. The look on his face told me, I got a lot of work to do with this boy. He does not understand the values with which I operate. I didn't reflect the culture of our family. So here's the question. How do you reflect the culture of your organization? Do you even know that your organization has a culture? Do you know the values that your culture represents? It's so important that you understand, because culture eats strategy for breakfast. And so you may be, as a team, you may be working on strategic efforts to introduce ministry or to advance a product line, and you're not addressing culture, and you're doomed for failure. Culture matters. Why don't you look at it today, and let's express the culture that is ours, and maybe even be aware of your family culture, because you bring that into the organization and it may be influencing the organization in a negative way. Adopt the culture, adopt the values, and allow the culture of your organization to support the strategy that you're expressing.
Yep. So that Bitterrocker explanation. Now we move on. We move on to learn more about his explanation. Now we go deeper to discuss about attitude, about behavior and mindset that we believe are important to succeed a company. So everyone should have them. So these are our core values, right? So ask yourself, do you have a culture? Do you have a core values? And what are the core values of your organization? Yeah, so culture show up in daily attitudes, behavior, and mindset. So the company identifies the guiding values for your company. Now I would ask you, everyone, can you share me the core values of your organization or your families? If you're not working now, if you don't have a company, you don't have a business, or you don't have an affiliation, then just share your personal culture. That's what you believe. What you believe that important to succeed as a company. So if you talk about your personal success, and then that would become your individual values or culture. Okay. I'm waiting for you. My question is, what are the 3 core values of your company?
I would like to share about the
Yep.
culture in
Yes,
my
please.
past workplace.
Mm,
So the organizations, it strongly emphasize the core value of teamwork,
mm,
integrity, and respect. So these values clearly shape the culture and daily experience of employees. So whenever a project deadline was tight, instead of letting one person struggle
yeah.
alone, colleagues from different departments, they would willingly step in to share the workload and provide solutions. And managers also practice integrity by being transparent with company updates. So whether the news was good or bad, which built trust between leadership and staff. I think respect was shown through simple but meaningful actions, like listening to everyone's opinions in meeting and following ideas equally, regardless of seniority. Like because of these values, the environment felt positive, collaborative, and motivating, and people were more willing to give their best. So this experience showed me that core values are not just abstract words written in a company handbook. They come to life through consistent actions, and it can create a strong sense of belonging and purpose of employees. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. I like it. Discussion. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Then anyone want to add on your contribution, your discussion? discussion about your personal culture, your company culture? So if no one talking, and I'm going to move on for this information. Now, not the values that written in the handbook or no one can read. So the real values, the one people actually live by, the habit of skeleton culture come down to three things that I would love to discuss now. Maybe you can have more than that, but the skeleton here focus on the three core values. Now, the first one is to get shit done. Okay, so slow down and get shit done. Let's say we focus on finding, first of all, the culture that focus on finding solution. It isn't about working harder, but it's about focusing on solution, not the problem. It's about moving instead of drowning in the endless meeting. So we don't want wait our times, Then we start with a goal in mind and do what is take to reach. Then we learn through doing, not through endless discussion. We don't need discussion, stop discussion and take action. So you may think about SpaceX, a rocket explorer, but instead of waiting years for the perfect model, they launch and learn and improve. And that's it how the progress happen. So you can see SpaceX rabbit prototyping, learning by doing. So learning by doing is something that we need to apply. We don't really wait until we have time or we perfect enough to take that opportunity to improve and learn. Then in organizational culture, that especially another part of our skeleton, that we are going to use good judgment. We use our resources wisely, because speed without wisdom is chaos. That's why we discuss about judgment. So we use resources wisely, begin off when something fill up, and choosing clarity over cleverness. A company, a Johnson show during their crisis in 1982, they pulled product off the shelf at huge cost, but their good judgment built customer trust for the case. So I would love to show you this. Johnson and Johnson from the Tylenol crisis case study. Okay, it's a very good one.
AI is here, ready to lead the way. Stand out and build in-demand Gen AI skills with Coursera.
About this time, in the fall of 1982, in I think at least one supermarket in Chicago, that the best they can figure, someone injected cyanide into the tablets, and several people in the Chicago area end up dying, and it created quite a panic, not only in the Chicago area, but because Tylenol was such a successful brand throughout the country. Their legal counsel, and from what I heard, the FBI as well, said maybe you shouldn't recall this product when that came up as a discussion point, because this will look like some crazy person can bring a major corporation to its knees. So James Burke, who was then the CEO, in consultation with his top executives, did in fact withdraw Tylenol, and not only did they withdraw it from the shelves, they promoted the fact that they were withdrawing it. It was on all the news programs. But the point Burke made was their credo, which is a well-known document put forth by Robert Wood Johnson, who is the founder of J&J in the 40s, has 4 paragraphs. The first sentence of the first line of the first paragraph says, we are responsible to the doctors, nurses, patients, mothers, fathers, others who use our product. And Burke's point was, we were violating the first line of the credo. And therefore, he said, we wanted to pull the product off the market. Yes, I think it's not only viewed as a textbook example in the crisis management area, but in my field of business ethics, I think it's the gold standard by which other similar kinds of decisions are evaluated, because J&J quickly recalled the product, brought the product off the market, and then in a number of months re-entered the product or reintroduced the product with an advertising campaign. And I think that this is something that we can learn from today, that having at least empathy for consumers and understanding that if there's consumer health and safety issues, you need to go that extra mile. As an ethics professor, I don't think it is, but I know in actual fact it sometimes is. When there's a lot of pressure by Wall Street or pressure to make the numbers in the short term, cutting corners, or if you can get away with not doing a recall, I'm not going to sit in judgment of Mattel, but maybe they were a little reluctant to do recall because it involves so many of their products. But I believe there's so much pressure on the market, financial markets, as well as competition, but executives need to think about the long term, and I think that's what Johnson & Johnson, that's why we're still talking about it 25 years later. They could see the long-term implications of them hiding the, issue. They couldn't hide the fact that people died, but maybe hiding behind saying this is a good brand, we didn't do anything wrong. Rather, they took it upon themselves to be proactive, and I think that's another reason that being long-term oriented and being proactive and being transparent are all things that executives should consider.
So it's actually about crisis management, right? From the sharing of Johnson & Johnson's case study, and that the things that I would love to discuss. The second idea, for use good judgment, and we speak up when we see something that needs solving, and we value clarify over cleverness. Now, I love this line saying by Lily Tomlin. She said, I always wonder why somebody doesn't do something about that. Then I realized I was somebody. So that's culture in action, not waiting for permission, not struggling problem up, but realize we are a part of that culture, that important, and we take action on our responsibility, and how we act is very, very important, you know, for sure. And this always give me an idea of how I can build myself as a lecturer, for example, so that hit at the feeling and the mindset that I feel I would solve the problem by myself when I see it at work. So I don't assume it is someone's responsibility, but I consider it's my responsibility for sure. And I'm going to step up even a small way to fix something, to fix it when it's got a mistake. So every time someone chooses to act instead of waiting, that we own, you know, the process. We are the owner of our journey. So people, how we act. How we act is more important than how we talk. What do you think? So let's take Netflix for an example. Now Netflix say it's best when we say it. We are a team, not a family. We hire, we develop, and cut smartly so we have star in every position. So the great company don't play it safe, you know. They step outside the comfort zone and they ask why not, and they try again when others give up. So Netflix can be considered as a perfect example. They went from mailing DVDs to dominating streaming, and now they're creating original content. The Netflix culture explain their collaboration. So do you have any culture that you like, then you want to share? So here I'm going to share you Netflix culture explain. So there so many video about Netflix culture explain. So they explain how there's freedom. They explain about decision making. They explain about working cross-functionally. They explain how you know, people work together. So it's built on the foundation of freedom and responsibility, emphasizing high performance and accountability and high talent density. For sure, I'll show you here. Like Netflix, and I believe everyone like about Netflix. Now, first of all, they explain about how they
Okay, just gonna...
Next one.
work.
Oof, that's a good one. What does freedom and responsibility
Look like at Netflix?
So many different aspects.
Classic one, yeah.
Basically, freedom and responsibility is the culture of Netflix, and it's applied in everything that we do every day, whether it's the work, whether it's the working schedule, whether it's taking vacation. And it's what is great about freedom and responsibility. You have the freedom to do anything that you want, and you bear that responsibility as well.
At an individual level,
You know, we're giving everyone an incredible amount of freedom to really be the best version of themselves in their professional role, right? So essentially we're trying to remove all the barriers, and it's the role of the manager of every individual employee to liberate the person. And I think that's really what it's about.
When I interview candidates, I hear lots of fascination for this aspect of our culture, because for once you get to actually define what you want to do, how you want to do. It's like being a mini entrepreneur in this like big environment.
I think that's a great analogy. I think, you know, the entrepreneurship within a corporate environment that I think expresses it really well. Because you're essentially, you are responsible for your resources, you know, being it time or budget or, you know, whatever. And you have to manage yourself, you know, and decide how to spend that, like you would be running your own company.
For me, it almost feels like the freedom makes me more responsible. It's like having that much freedom, I'm like, I better check myself because this is a lot of responsibility. So definitely the freedom is really, I guess, for lack of a better word, empowering.
And then it's also, I think the other side of it is that I feel that it's fine to fail. If then turns out to be, okay, it didn't turn out as we would have thought, or it didn't achieve the results we were hoping for, what can we learn from it?
I think that the responsibility, it comes first, right? It's you need to give people responsibility, and then they have all the freedom in the world to execute on that responsibility.
So that's please explain, and they continue explain about decision making.
Okay, next one.
So, first question, how is it to work for a global company?
Does all the decision making sit in the US?
Good question. I would say no. First of all, Netflix started as a more US-centric company, naturally, because that was the biggest market, and that was the first market they were in as well. Growing now to be a really global company, I feel that there's a lot of local empowerment.
For now, I'm working on Stranger Things, a very global title. Obviously, all the creative is done in the US. Obviously, we give visibility to the US, but then when it comes to the decision on the market, it's very much our own. So I feel like it's just one company that kind of acts into its own territory as it should.
I think when we're all aligned and we give visibility to what's happening in the US, that really just helps us to be the informed captains for our regions and make those decisions. So for me, that's the most important part of it. So I do not feel like all decisions are US-led. It feels more that we give them visibility, and then we're entitled to, and we're empowered to actually make decisions for our countries and country-first approach.
I tend to agree. However, I think we have to acknowledge that we're on a path. We have been for a very long time been a very US-centric company, naturally, because that was where the business happened. And since a few years now, we recognize, well, the future of the company is sitting outside of the US. But still, there's a fair amount of decision-making, and the majority of the employees sitting in the US. And I guess to some extent that will stay like that, but I think we have to acknowledge that there's still a long way for us to go to really become a global company. I think we just have to acknowledge that it's a path, it's a journey for us individually, but as well as for the whole company.
Yeah, I would say that it's getting better and better. I mean, don't forget, we've only been in Europe for a couple of years, so it took some time for people to build teams in Amsterdam, etc. But I feel that now decision-making is really shifting to the Amsterdam headquarters.
This being said, what I like is the mix of nationalities that are working in the offices. I found it very empowering to have like different point of views, different perspectives, different cultures, mixing their thinking.
You know, we just moved to Madrid and we have the local office there. I think it's really a true statement that we really empower people in this company, and like specifically the local offices now. So we have this global approach, but as you said, not very US-centric as it was probably at the beginning.
This is what I found fascinating. This is how can we, like when you work on a specific market, translate this like brand DNA into something that still fits within a local market, makes sense, is relevant to the consumers on the ground. This is part of the journey I found the most exciting.
Well, I'm glad we covered that one.
Yeah. So that's something about Netflix, that culture that we can learn from. And for sure, that's a very good lesson, right? Now, what is more? Now, having said that, we look for attitude with attitude. So having the right skills is not enough. You also need the enthusiasm and drive. So that become important, the important at work, the important of the high energy, positive energy. Now, if we come to work with a spark in our eyes, so there is nothing worse than a rude and warning, peacock around there. So that would be something important in our life that's about work. And if we are not happy with that important part, if the culture show up and our low energy, if the culture low show up that we don't live by the principle of our organizational culture, and our goal is not aligned with our organizational goal, and then that's the time for you to leave your organization because it's not for you. So when managing ourselves and others, we can follow these 4 principles. That is, 4 principle is very, very focused here. The first is about result. The second is about WDWBW. What would be an iterate that the result, iterate means learning by doing and not planning forever. Then second, order thinking, always ask and then what's gonna be. Okay. Now, first of all, result orientation. So we work for a result, right? And we realize that the best results are not always achieved at the office, between 9 and 5. So sometimes we need to get to quiet, to quiet and get shit done. So what does it mean? What does it mean? So sometimes we don't move fast or quick, but we need quiet. So because we want a result, we want a better result, right? We talk about result because outcome matter more than hours. Now, some of the best work doesn't happen between 9 and 5, but it happens late at night. It's not happen between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. during daytime, but it happens late at night, in early morning, or in those quiet moments when you finally have space to think and create. So the real goal isn't to look busy, but it's to quiet the noise and get everything done. For example, Jeff Bezos famous say about his culture from Amazon, that he say, we don't reward people for working hard. We reward them for working smart. Then at Amazon, no one care how many hours you log if the result isn't there. Now, also, Microsoft, for example, discovered during COVID that flexible working arrangement actually boost productivity. People value quiet, focused time and use to deliver strong outcome. So the principle here is simple but powerful that don't measure a success by time spent. The measure is by impact and created. That the number one rule, we work for the result. If we don't have a result, we don't have to work. No need to work. So keep in mind that we are a team, we operate as a team, which means meeting and direct communication are required for team result too. For sure, then we keep that atmosphere of teamwork. We keep that motivation for collaboration, for sure. Now, how about the WDWB? What does it mean? It means who does what by when. Now the 5 work that take you from the talk to get everything done. So this is a rule, this is a principle. And if you can follow this principle, it is easy to follow this principle. Now, here it sounds almost too simple when we talk about it, but to think about how many times you've left a meeting with good ideas and then nothing happens. So because no one owned it, because no one owned the meeting. So the WDWBW's skill-based talk, it turned that we should do this into someone else, Who? A, B, C, D. Someone will send the wrap or the minute by Friday. So as for example, Amazon use a version of this, what they call single threaded leadership. Every initiative has exactly one person who owns it. So if something slips and there's no confusion about who's responsible. So the who is important because we know the owner of the work. And there is what specific deliverable or by when it's a clear deadline for that things to be finished. Yeah. So that from the top to down, this kind of secret, this kind of tool is kind of a weapon for you to win any battle. Then what more? Now we learning by doing. Charting new territories by definition full of unknown. So we learn by doing. We don't wait, until we know everything to do things, because we have never be perfect. And the unknowns is over there for us to discover. So we're not going to learn by talking about it. No, we don't learn by making a perfect plan. We learn by doing, saying that we see too many teams get stuck in planning mode, endless slide, endless discussion, waiting for the perfect moment to do something. But the reality is you can steer a park car, For example, Toyota Kaizen philosophy, small daily experiment and improvement has transformed manufacturing worldwide. So the culture message here for us, don't fear failures, just fear inaction. Because failure teaches us in action way this. Now I will share you a very good case, SpaceX for learning by doing. It's a good one. Do you have anything to discuss?
I would like to say one example.
Yes, please.
Let's say we want to get healthier, but we plan by setting a goal like going to the gym 3 times a week. Then we commit it by telling ourselves that you won't skip it even on busy days. And next, we actually act by showing up at the gym and starting our workout. After a few weeks, you review how you're doing. Maybe you notice some things that you feel stronger, but realize your diet needs some changes. Finally, you achieve your goal when you see real progress, like losing weight or having more energy. This shows how following these 5 steps can take you from just talking about something to actually getting it done. Yeah, that's one of the example. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Elias. Yeah, that's good. Very good example. So we move on with something more. So when where you want to go, what is the big picture goal? So don't get stuck in planning from the comfort of your desk, right? So get out there, find what's work and what doesn't, then iterate, improve, and keep working towards your goal. Now, why iterate is important? So how iterate become interaction mean try and test, and learn and improve and repeat. So it's about building momentum through small cycle rather than waiting for the big one for a perfect shot. Now, doing is the first step, but great culture don't just do once, they iterate. It's a very key word, the highlighted word for today, iterate. Iteration, For example, Instagram, they didn't start as Instagram. They began as a clunky check-in Apple icon burned. And the founder watched how people use it and noticed photo sharing was the most popular feature and entry into Instagram that we know for today. Yeah. So, like James Dyson, they create more than 5,000 prototypes before his vacuum cleaner finally worked. If you know that vacuum cleaner, that the product that we use today, have been failed more than 1,000 times before, or just a prototype to get more review and evaluation from customer to improve. The vacuum cleaner now was improved from more than 5,000 prototype. So imagine if James Dyson stopped at 100th time, the time of 100, it means that there no thing happen. There no vacuum cleaner is the one that we use today. So that the culture of iteration mean progress through our persistence. So we can learn by doing plus iterate together into our philosophy of improvement, self-development, right? And then the last step that we discussed, and then what? The immediately effect on our action are usually relatively predictable. So, and then what? Become a principle. And what kind of principle that we understand around here? And then what we should be asking ourselves many times, and then what? So that's what come after the immediate and what after that. Have you ever done this before? Have you ever tried to use this principle for the second order thinking? You know, the second order thinking, we look beyond the immediate effect to see the ripple consequences and how you can make it interesting and relatable in our life and in our job, you know. And most of us are good at spotting the first effect of a decision, but a great culture asks deeper question, and then what? And you always ask yourself, and then what? It's important in a business. For example, a company cuts price to win customers, to win the competitors. And then what? Competitor cuts there too. Now, measuring shrink, service quality drops, and customer leave anyway. Or, you know, Netflix again, the same on Netflix launches streaming, and then what? People cut cable, and then what? They begin producing their own content, which completely changed the entertainment industry. So the second order thinking is about slowing down and asking, if we do this, and what happened next, and what happened after that. That's how we say second order thinking. Now, let me ask you, think about a recent decision you made, personal or professional, and then ask yourself, and then what? And then what? And did you know this? Anything hadn't considered before? Now you just write down for me one decision you made recently and ask yourself, then what? So the second order thinking is very, very interesting. That we can have more discussion if we want, but what we should remember that what's come after the immediately and what after that, and it's the key to success. That's so-called second order thinking, and it's the key to success that not many people know about it, realize. So today I let you know it. The second order thinking. Okay. Now let's discuss about this from the explanation from Jacques Lemonnier, you know. I'll show you. Jacques Lemonnier on inversion thinking process.
Video call. Video calendar.
Luke, what's going on over there?
I'm doing the work. I'm doing everything.
But the first chapter says the most important thing is second-level thinking. If you think the same as everybody else, you're going to act the same. If you act the same as everybody else, you're going to perform the same. And that's not a very good performance formula for being a superior investor. If you want to be a superior investor, you have to think different from others. You have to act different. And maybe then you can have different performance. And then the only question is your performance different and right or different and wrong relative to the average. But clearly, if you think the same as everybody else, you can't outperform. So you have to have an organization which is based on what I consider second-level thinking, which is thinking different from others and better. So when my son was studying investing, and he would come to me and he'd say, Dad, I think we should buy Ford stock because Ford is coming out with a great Mustang, and they're going to make a lot of money. And I would say to him, my answer was always the same because I feel by repetition you can get your lessons across. So my answer to him was always the same. Who doesn't know that? If Ford's going to come out with a great Mustang and it's going to be a killer car and it's going to make a lot of money, but everybody who follows Ford knows that, then that piece of knowledge is not profitable. So in order to outperform others, you have to know something they don't know. You have to look at things in a different way than they look at them. Second-level thinking, different and better. And just one brief example. The first-level thinker says, this is a great company, we should buy the stock. The second-level thinker says, it's a great company, but it's not as great as everybody thinks, we should sell the stock. And that's the thing I hope you'll think about.
You write that failing to understand.
Okay. That's for my first discussion, everyone. Now you can take a break for 20 minutes and we go back for the next section. Okay. Good evening again, everyone. Good evening. Now I'm going to share with you a case study. I'll share you now. Wait for me a minute. Space. Oh, space is rapid prototype. And learning by doing. So it's become a culture, you know. There's a rapid prototyping in technique. It's about technique. What is it for? Oops. Now what can we learn from? Now space rapid prototyping design process.
And literally from scratch. I mean, what we had was a the other example I'd like to point to is the once we did the make decision for Pika, we had to set up a TPS lab, and literally from scratch. I mean, what we had was a large room because the facility at Hawthorne was very large, but we had a large section of the facility with essentially concrete floors, you know, walls and lights, and that's it. I mean, there was nothing in that shop at all. And over the course of 9 months, it went from literally an empty space to a world-class TPS production facility where they were producing 4 blocks, large blocks of Pika in a big oven at a single time, so a big batch mode, and much better than any of the outside vendors had developed to that point. So in the course of 9 months, it went from being essentially an empty room to having the best Pika fabrication facility on the planet, 9 months. And again, if you would have told me, based on my NASA experience, you could make that much progress, I would have said, no way. You know, maybe 18 months if you pushed really, really hard, but we did it in 9 months. So that was quite astounding. So the whole pace of development is just at light speed compared to what you're used to in traditional aerospace. And it really does take a number of months to get used to that, to get used to how rapidly things move, how rapidly decisions are made, the whole, try it and verify, move forward or a step back approach, and the whole collaborative design environment between the different subsystems. Again, one of the design approaches SpaceX uses is rapid prototyping and test and failure. And I'll give you one example that actually I thought was quite interesting. One of the times where we had a little difficulty between two groups had to do with the temperature limit that we were looking at for the bonding agent for the Pika heat shield to the structure. And we were given a number from the structures group that looked low, that they wanted, we had to specify that the bond was below a certain temperature. And we were suspicious that that number was too low. And so we went and talked to the structures group and said, oh, no. I still remember the gentleman saying that the composite structure that they're using for the carrier structure for the TPS, it turns to butter above this temperature. And myself and another gentleman were walking away and we said, we don't believe that. And this gentleman actually was Andrew Chambers. He said, we're going to test this. And we had this big oven where we made the Pika billets, and it could go up beyond the temperature that we wanted to actually use, and way beyond the temperature they said was the limit of this composite. So Andrew actually was able to go get some samples of this composite. We set up a jig, okay, and this took 1 day, okay. So we got these samples, we set up a jig in the oven where we highly loaded these samples so that they were under great strain at room temperature, okay. Went out of the oven, closed the door, and cranked up the temperature, okay. So we first cranked it up to the point where the gentleman said this turns to butter, and what we would do is that we'd open the oven, run in and measure the deflection, because it's hot in there, and then run back out and close it again. And so we first got to the temperature, we said it turned into butter, okay, and they hadn't budged at all. And then we went up to the temperature that we wanted to use, and they had budged a little bit, but hardly at all, okay. So then we went back to this gentleman, okay, in the composite group and said, well, we just ran a test relative to these limits you're giving us. It didn't turn to butter at this temperature. It looks like it's fine up to this. And that's when the gentleman said, well, yeah, but we just can't trust you guys. So they were giving us an artificially low temperature because they were worried that we would violate that temperature limit. But what actually brought that to light was this rapid prototyping. We literally did this in a day, okay, with the things that we had available, okay. We went and did it, and okay, you said that it turns to butter here. We're going to check that and see if it does or doesn't, and it didn't. And that's an example of how they work, okay. If someone gives them a requirement or some type of a parameter, they are prone, well, let's see if that's the case or not. Let's put together a jig, let's put together an apparatus to see if we verify what we've been told. Does it work this way or not? And they can do it very, very rapidly. And what happens is that you're able to learn very quickly. And for example, another one that we did on the way to scaling up Pika, to go from essentially an empty room to a world-class, Pika shop, Pika factory, we did it in 3 phases. We first did first phase, prototype phase of things about the size of a coffee cup, just so we could transfer the process to the SpaceX team. Okay, here's how you make Pika on small scale. Then we had to go to a scale up of a full-size billet, but we did that with a prototype unit, and because we had some concerns about temperature requirements and uniformity. And so we built a prototype unit. It took us about 3 months, but we built a custom furnace that we could monitor very accurately the temperatures, the state of the material and the device. And after doing several billets out of that, we were able to then go and design the full-scale facility. But it was going through and very quickly doing, try this, does it work? Okay, learn, go to the next size, go to the next size. And at each step, we learned very important things that were working, and things that weren't working, things to watch out for. We had a couple gotchas on the full-scale billet prototype that we were able to resolve. We were seeing some funny behavior for a while on how some of the solvent that's part of the process on how it was modifying the phenolic. And we were scratching our heads for a couple of weeks, and we ran some tests and found out what it was and modified the approach and got it to work on a full-scale billet. And by the way, I should mention that was the first time that anyone had ever done a full-scale Pika billet. Even the outside suppliers had not ever accomplished a full-scale billet, and we were able to do that through this prototyping. But yeah, doing that rapid prototyping and testing, it allows you to identify, what's important, what are the things that you don't know about that are going to bite you, and address them early on before you go to a full-scale facility, where now if you have a problem, now the options you have to fix a problem are far fewer and far more costly than at a smaller scale. So that was one thing that you'd see over and over again. They do it on all sections. I saw that in the TPS area, but they do it for structures, they do it for engines. They try to prototype at the smallest scale that they can initially and then work their way up to full scale and do it as rapidly as possible with 51% confidence at each step along the way.
Yeah, so that the case that you're going to learn from the case of SpaceX, there's only a lot of
The whole collaborative design
Sorry.
environment really does set the stage.
It's also provide you with a lot of information on the website. You just search for SpaceX prototyping, learning by doing. That's the model of SpaceX that we can learn for our company, for ourselves. Now, what I'm going to share for you to answer the question from now. You can learn any from this case and choose the question that you want to answer. A user. So the thing is, for you to discuss for the SpaceX case, the first is what the key message behind SpaceX private prototyping approach. And then you know that already, but how is different from traditional airplane-based development practice like waterfall methods? It's follow a build, fly, learn loop, and why is that in real world condition even is fail and more effective than simulation or planning? And for this discussion that you should relate it to the culture, the cultural code, behind the story, not just describe the story or repeat the information from the story, but you're trying to give your perspective in terms of culture code, is our topic today discuss. Yeah, we got Francis chose number 1, and that's show number 2. Okay, any Anyone else want to discuss today? So we're waiting for your information. When you're ready, you can talk, feel free to talk.
Okay.
Hi, Francis.
Hello. Hi, sorry. Good
Hello.
evening.
Hello.
Tell me, teacher.
Yes,
Can
I can hear you well. Thanks, Francis.
can I answer first, or who is talking just now? I'm so sorry. Okay, then I'll answer first then. Is that fine? Can I proceed?
Yeah, that's fine. How your flight today? Oh,
Yes.
it's good.
It was very rushing. I flew
I'm
back from
happy.
yeah. Thank you,
Glad
teacher.
to that you got a good flight. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so sorry for coming late. I came back from Shenzhen because of some supplier engagement. All right, back to the question. So question number one, what is the key mindset behind SpaceX rapid prototyping approach? How does this differ from the traditional aerospace development practices like the waterfall method? So basically, first of all, when we try to answer this question, it's always about the SpaceX modern prototype mindset versus traditional mindset. So in this case, we shall understand what is the meaning of waterfall. And we all know that waterfall is a linear method. It's a sequential project management methodology, which is used in the past and mostly is being deployed in software development and engineering field. So this is a very old traditional method. So in this case, SpaceX key mindset, they move fast, right? And then they try to break things into different perspectives, perspective, and then prioritizing speed of learning over perfection. So they embrace rapid iteration, accepting that first come will be imperfect, but each lessons will teach them valuable information and lessons, and they learn from there. So they don't take chances, they go for it, and they know that by going for it, they know that it will be imperfect in the first place, and then they improve along the way. And everybody can do things together. Not only like the manager will take the lead or whatever. They move fast and then they break things into different perspective together. So that is the SpaceX key mindset. And then what is the difference from the waterfall? As we know, waterfall is the traditional old method. So the traditional aerospace uses this waterfall method is very, very time consuming. They always love to do meeting. They always love to do discussion with detailed specification and take years to design and build it. All right. But SpaceX totally flip this around, and then they pull this away. They build quickly, and then quickly they do the testing. And then from the testing, they learn from the data, because without testing, you cannot get data. And then from there, they iterate it. So traditional aerospace might spend, a lengthy year, 5 to 10 years, or probably longer than that in design phase. But SpaceX will build the prototype, or we call it the MVP, the minimum viable product, in very quickly, like months. So these are the differences.
Thank you, Francis. So far, very good.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you for your contribution here for the first section. Now, who next?
I would like to
Elias?
answer. Yeah. I would
Yes,
like to
please.
answer number 2 questions. So testing in real world conditions, like even if it's in failure, it's often way more effective than just planning or running endless simultations, because reality always throw in factors. So we can fully predict a simulation is based on assumption and models, but the real world is messy. There are small errors, unexpected stresses, and random connections that don't show up on a computer screen. So when SpaceX build a rocket and actual flies it, they get direct hand-on feedback about what really works and what doesn't. Even if the rocket fails, the team collect a huge amount of valuable data that show exactly where things went wrong. And that kind of knowledge is far more useful than guessing in advance. It's like when you're trying to learn how to ride a bike, we can read guides, watch video, or even plan out every move that until we get on the bike and maybe fall a few times. So we won't really understand how to balance. The same principle applies to rockets. So each failure is part of the learning process and it speeds things up because instead of waiting years to design something perfect on paper, SpaceX can improve quickly with real evidence. That's why their built flying learn loop works so well. They are not afraid of mistakes because every test, whatever it succeed or fail, pushes them one step closer to success. Thank you.
Wow, that's a good lesson, Elias. Yeah. That's a cultural code that you share from SpaceX work for learning by doing. Yes. Remember that prototyping, learning by doing is around the skeleton of SpaceX. Thank you. Who next? Yes, Ibrahim, take on number 6. And for now, who is going to talk?
Think I should
Yes, please.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I hear you well. Oduo?
Yes, so I think I will be taking on question number 3.
Yes, please.
Yeah, question number 3 has to do with how SpaceX treats failures differently from other traditional companies. That's companies that are in the same sphere of operation with it. So SpaceX basically operates on a culture of embracing failure. They do not see failure as failure in the ordinary sense as to how we define failure in the real world. So to SpaceX, I think failure is an option. Yeah, so they see failure as part of the key processes of an outcome, is an expected outcome in whatever someone is doing. And in other companies might see failure as something to grieve about, to maybe downsize or sack employees over. But for a company like SpaceX, it's part of the key processes of innovation. So for SpaceX, they believe failure helps in innovation. That's the principle of learning by failing. So they also operate on the agile framework. That is push hard, test everything, don't wait for perfection. Other companies might want to push out products, keep testing and testing to perfection before they push out products. But a company like SpaceX, they learn on the process, they push everything out, they launch a rocket, it fails, it's fine and good. They learn from that failure, launch again. So that culture of pushing and innovating as they work has helped them to move faster and quicker than most of their competitors. You see the way they were able to be run. You see the way SpaceX launches rockets every other week, and the way it moves. The competitors they have like Blue Origin and others, they don't move the way SpaceX moves. So their culture of learning by failure actually aided them in innovating faster and quicker than most of their competitors. So for in SpaceX, how they treat failure is seeing failure as not an obstacle, but an opportunity and an integral part of learning. Thank you. You are muted. We can't hear you.
Okay, thank you, Chibuzo, for your discussion, your contribution. Very good lesson we can learn from SpaceX also. Now we move to another lesson.
Yeah, I would like to answer number 4.
Thanks, Inlay. Go ahead.
SpaceX plans an agile principles with hardware by 3D rockets almost like software. They fail fast, test fast, phase fast, and then improve. As Dan Reski explained in the video, instead of waiting for the perfect design, they push real hardware into real-world testing conditions because that is where you discover program simulation can't predict. They don't wait until they are 100% certain. In fact, Reski mentioned that they often move forward when they are just 51% confident in a design decision and then quickly iterate if something doesn't work. Another key difference is integration. Design, manufacturing, and testing all happen in tight feedback loops. This makes hardware development work like continuous integration in software with rapid cycles that cut years of traditional timelines. And then culturally, they embrace failure as part of learning. Traditional aerospace companies trying to avoid failures at all costs, which slows progress. SpaceX, on the other hand, see each failure as valuable feedback, helping them improve faster. In the video, a good example Reski gave was Falcon 1. The early rockets failed multiple times, but each failure taught them something critical, and those lessons eventually led to successful launches. So, SpaceX as a hardware approach works because its values speak over perfection, and then treats failure as progress, and key designs are built and tested tightly integrated. That's what allows them to innovate much faster than traditional aerospace companies.
Yeah, thank you, Tin Lai. Very good. Yeah, for sure. There's always lesson behind a story, and then thank you for all of you discover that story from the video from SpaceX and give a very thoughtful lesson for the story that you tell. Okay, we move to next discussion from
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you well, Ephraim.
Okay, good evening once again. I'm answering the number 6 question that says cross-functional team and setup. How does placing engineers right next to the manufacturing floor contribute to rapid learning and iteration? Actually, placing engineers right to the manufacturing floor is just a classic cross-functional setup that will accelerate learning, feedback, and iteration. So these are ways where it can help them and actually help the company. It will shorter feedback loops in the sense that wherever they are not getting it right, per review, they will get to know that what they are doing, they are not getting it right, or they are getting it right. If they are getting it right, they will continue. But if they are not getting it right, they'll have to sit up. Like, for example, engineers can see problems as they happen, rather than waiting for reports or escalations. When you are working, when engineers are placed right, they will see what they are doing. They will understand the effects and the resultant of what they are doing. If it is not working well, they will see it closely. They will not even wait for someone to tell them that this you're doing, you're not getting it right, or you're not doing it well. They will see it by themselves. Again, they don't need to rely on any documents or delay in meetings, because they were placed right. They are together. They are working as a team. So cross-functional relationship is there. They are there. They don't need any form of documents or delay in document arrival, or a kind of procurement team providing things. They don't need to wait, because they know their duty, they know the right thing to do. Everything is in place for them. So that's one good thing. Cross-functional engineers, placing engineers in the right position where they should be, is something welcoming in an organization. So in a real-time problem solving, they forecast it, they foresee it, and they act upon it. Issues doesn't just come up like that. Before issue will come, they have perceived it, they have seen it. So they will create a design, an issue to be tested. They can adjust where possible and validate the spots where it is leaking or where there are faults. So real-time problem solving is one of the good things, placing engineers in the right position in an organization. They are better efforts, and their understanding are shareable. Whatever they understand, each engineer understands, he will share with the other engineers to make works easy. Their feelings, they place feelings of other engineers and the company first before their own. Because when the company is doing well, they are actually the ones doing well. They are the machineries that is being employed to do those works. So finally, I could say there are visible accountability, because in a construction company, you will see there are no loopholes. There are, but when it comes to engineers and their functions, it is easily seen. It is feasible to see if they are trustworthy, if they are getting it right, if they are doing it well. So each engineer is being held accountable for what he or she does in the company. Okay. So just to summarize this, I could say is co-locating engineers with manufacturing eliminates silos and speed up feedback loops and create a culture of continuing experimentation and learning. So this is what it does when you place engineers in the right position in the company. There will be a culture, a behavioral pattern, a system at which they operate. That is their core value. That is their culture in a work environment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ephraim. It's such a good lesson, and that we can apply it in our organization also. Yes, yeah, to know that a solving problem or solving issue in real time for the connection, between the right person. Yeah, when they can talk together and solve the problem together, just to be next to each other is a good matching, leadership that to see to allocate the job or the task for the right person. Yeah. Thank you, Ibrahim. Very thoughtful discussion and conversation from you always. That's so good. And the next question would be someone
Good evening, teacher. Good evening, class.
with the progress. Yeah. Hello.
I will be answering the number 5 question. Vertical integration as a speed enabler. So from my understanding, I can say vertical integration is like, will I say, is a strategy where a company owns and controls multiple stages of its supply chain, starting from the raw materials to the production, to the distribution, and to the sales. And by this, reducing its reliance on external partners, the company dramatically accelerates decision-making, innovation, and execution. So this means there is a fast response to demand. So from this said, I can go to the advantages of this vertical integration. So from the video you posted, you showed to us, I understand that the vertical integration helps to fight feedback loops. Engineers, technicians, and manufacturing teams work closely together under one roof. Problems discovered in testing can be immediately addressed in design and production, thereby eliminating delays caused by supplier coordination. So another advantage I understood is supply chain control and flexibility. So by this, I mean by producing critical components internally, SpaceX avoids supplier lead times and constraints, giving it freedom to adjust to design, build custom parts, and this prioritizes speed over traditional aerospace. So with this said, I can conclude that vertical integration gives SpaceX speed through autonomy. That's control over every link in the chain, fast feedback loops, and ability to iterate and start up pace in any industry where others still move at a government contractor pace. So I think it's all about the quick response to demands of our customers. And that plays a major role, I would say, a major role in the growth of a company. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Yeah, I appreciate that. Very good lesson from your point of view, So anyone can explore the story behind SpaceX, but from your point of view, it's about the culture code. It's about very good theoretical background that you already learned, and combined with your real life experience, it's become very unique. Any more discussion? Hi.
Sure, I will
Hello,
talk
Chair.
about question A. Like,
Yes.
One SpaceX reused rocket with a ripple effect on cost, sustainability, and industry disruption. One SpaceX reused rocket like the Falcon 9, the ripple effect extends far beyond the immediate success of a single launch, influencing cost, sustainability, and the industry dynamics in a profound way. Economically, reusability / the cost of flyby, eliminating the need to build a new rocket for every mission. Traditionally, expendable rocket costs $10 of million per launch, but the refurbishing and relaunching boosters SpaceX has driven down prices, making space more accessibility to commercial client and even government agency. This cost reduction has a cascading effect, allowing more frequent launches and opening up new markets such as like satellites, constellation for global internet coverage. Like for a sustainability perspective, rocket reuse significantly reduce the environmental footprint of space exploration. Manufacturing a new rocket involves extracting raw material, energy-intensive production processes, and disposable of then usable component, all of which contribute to carbon emission and waste. By reusing boosters, SpaceX converts resources and minimize the ecological impact, aligning with global effort to promote greener technology. This should also a precedent for encouraging other players to rethink their reliance on expendable system. That's teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Yeah, very nice discussion. Very excited sound from you, but even I don't see you, I can feel the sound, the voice that you talking sound very strong, you know, the way you present very confidently. I like it. Okay.
Hello, Chair. It's Tom.
Hello, Tom.
Yeah, I want to just get about number 9. There's the between the difference between platform strategy and bespoke project. And the bespoke project is like a NASA style for like a specific fashion. There's a design a perfect and one of the machine for a single job, like Luna, like yeah. Apollo lunar lander is brilliant and is also incredibly expensive, and also you can reduce the knowledge and hardware for the next mission, and also you have to start from scratch every time.
Yeah.
That's for the bespoke, and also the platform. That's SpaceX, like you create a flexible and evolving base like the Falcon 9 rocket, and also you can fly it and land and upgrade it from the next flight and the next level, and also each land is an end. It's not it's an end, so it's a test for the next one and for the new one, so they can create compounding effect of the like reliability, and also you can reduce cost, and also you can building continuously and also improve in product line, and not a serious in museum. It's kind of like not a serious museum space.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's enough. That's
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Now,
it.
Tom, that's it. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I agree with your discussion totally, for sure. Yeah, then you know, and in every discussion around here, from the beginning up to now, that you may made it your final assignment. I'm going to share you very soon now the final presentation guidelines, you know, for you to be optional, choose whatever topic that related to emotional intelligence that we discussed from the beginning up to now, you know, any field, any area of theory, background, or information that we provide, or case study that you're interested in, and then you will deliver an individual presentation on a topic that your choice, yeah, from this course. Then you got 15 minutes for your presentation and 5 minutes Q&A from your classmate or from myself. Yeah, that the description, short description, I would share you the link now, and then you can prepare from now. Then I will post on Google Classroom very soon. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, you may pick up one question or one topic that you discussed from the beginning until now. What kind of question that you give the answer already? You can take it for consideration and make it a big presentation for your idea. So easy. The topic, your choice. Presentation is on any topic we learn. Yeah, any topic you learn from this course, from emotional intelligence. Then you would reflect also, discuss what you learn about the topic and explain how it's connect to your individual growth, your personal development, and it's how it apply in your professional development for your current recent organization or business, for example. So it's up to you. We have been discussed a lot of question and topic until now, pack 8. Do we need to submit any material beforehand? No, you don't need to submit material beforehand. You only submit the presentation onto the Google Classroom as your final evidence of your presentation. And you can submit your slide after your presentation. You don't need to submit it in advance to me even. That's fine. Just maybe 1 week before, you just give me the topic, I would share you the topic registration, where just some keyword. Yeah, you can submit on the presentation day, then that's good. Just on the day or after that day, that's fine. That's my idea for your final assignment, and you can prepare from now until you finish. So did anyone discuss for the last section today, for the last 15 minutes? If it's look like all of you got discussion. We have here. Yeah, but I am okay if what do we rely on? You don't have to write anything. You just, your presentation would be the evidence. And yes, your presentation would be your final result for your final project, a learning. Emotional intelligence is something very individual, Your story can make a difference. It's in 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, you finish. Now suppose that the last session, that would be 12, section 12, right? Now we got section number 8 for today, and so we have another four section. So in the next 2 weeks, so it's been that the last session, session 12, you all will present. Now let's see if we got we got 3 hours. So how many students we have? So yeah, so I think we can do like for the two last session, section 11 and section 12. I mean, we do for the last 2 week, okay? For the last week. Is that okay for you? Let's see, this week we finish this week 8 section. So Friday you will be free. That's okay. You're free Friday. Now Monday I see you again, and Wednesday next week. Now next week I see you again twice, and then we finish 10. So then the next week, the final week, we got 2 sections, and I let you choose. Which section you are going to do, Monday or Wednesday. I write down the description on Google Classrooms for you to make it clear. I can also share you now the wrap. Okay, I share you now here. Wednesday may be better, so we do Wednesday. All of you do that. So Wednesday, and that would be, oh, will it be, because we got holiday. So Wednesday can be public holiday. So it's public holiday in Vietnam. Yeah. So we may do like, if you agree, Friday. Yeah, that's a good idea, Francis. So we do Friday presentation. Friday would be the 5th of September. Okay. Good. Because that's your presentation. Yeah. Not next week. The next 2 weeks. Okay. Good. So let's see. We have here. I share you now the wrap of the presentation. Okay. So that's okay. The 5th of September will be your presentation day. On Goose, for sure. Now let's wait for me 1 minute. I share you the you can have any question regarding to your final presentation. Okay. So it's up to you the topic that you want to share, as long as it's related to emotional intelligence. Okay, if you don't have any question, the 5th of September. So if you don't have any question now, so bye for now. I get back to you soon, Monday. We meet again next Monday, okay? Then you can ask me any question related to September. It's presentation day. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for attending today. Have a good night, Elias. Yeah. Bianca, yes, thank you. Francis, good night.
Good night, teacher.
Night, Liz.
Good night, teacher.
Bye. Bye, Jim. Bye, Orca. Presentation day.